Daffy.
Hey guys.
Oh no, if Daffy's here, I have to leave and go have dinner.
Good, go.
Oddball 1958
That thing I
joined the
heard.
server.
Oh, here comes Oddball.
Oddball 1958 joined your
All right,
channel
welcome,
MIT.
Oddball.
Training on the
How
server.
are you today?
Going.
Going good.
Have you started yet?
No, actually, we
Oh.
haven't. Still got like another minute. I'm just gonna wait for some people and see if anyone wanted to join.
You are now known
Tonight's
as
lesson's going to be a little
66
more
streaming
talking,
and
a little
recording.
less doing. So it's going to be grand scheme decision making, things like that, micros and macros. So. Let's see who else we got. But if you guys want to play games while we're doing this, I really don't care, just so long as I can talk and
Oh,
do that kind of stuff. I mean, because you guys you might actually have a situation while you're playing that we want to talk about. So, but all right, well, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and start. All right, so tonight's class is going to be more of a theory craft, and so we're going to talk about the differences between micro decisions and macro decisions. So choices that are on a smaller scale pertaining to you, and I mean can be as simple as the choice of side scraping or angling your tank a certain way versus what flank you need to be on because of your relative tank and what you need to do to win the game. So I am not the greatest person to talk about macro grand decision making. Okay, I sometimes catch the mini map and am able to go, oh hey, I need to be here. Okay, but I can't give you that much information. So I guess the thing that I can provide personally would be the small micro decisions that will help you get to the macro, because that's usually how I get around in the game. So decisions like recognizing the game as a mathematical equation. If my gun has 300 alpha and Loki's gun has 200 alpha, and he is a tier down beneath me, I can trade with him. And because I can trade with him, he has a smaller health pool, therefore I can bully him and my shots count more. Those kinds of things. So it really boils down to, I mean, this game is math. I mean, as you have seen, I mean, we have to deal with trigonometry and angles and geometry when it comes to angling our tank. The 70 degree angle rule about auto ricocheting and effective armor thickness and things like this. Then why not our decisions be almost mathematical in a way too? So, sorry. So, one thing that you can sit there and think of is, let's take heavy tanks, for example. So heavy tanks, I mean, what do? They go to a section of the map, and they just kind of flaunt their armor and try to bounce each other's rounds, okay, or try to overexpose. So, so let's take a scenario that I ran into today, okay? So, I was trading with an Oni, I was in my T10. He's a tier 8 tank. I'm really not going to worry about him all that much. I mean, he's got a derp gun and it hurts. But I have no problem going through him, okay? I have no problem being able to put a round through him. So I don't need to expose myself as much in order to get his lower glacis plate or get the side of his tank, which is utilizing the knowledge of weak points, okay? So because my gun has a much higher penetration and can cut through armor like butter, I don't have to worry about that as much, which means that I can position myself safer or be able to return to a safe spot and not expose myself as much. So the scenario was we were playing on, I want to say, no, it wasn't Redshire, it was Live Oaks. There it is. And was it Live Oaks? I might actually be incorrect on this one. Anywho. Point is, you had your heavy area, and behind it is where the TDs usually sit, right? Our TDs decided to leave, okay? from the start of the map, they wanted to go into the small town on the side of the hill. And so they all just packed up, left. Their TDs did not, which meant that even though that we couldn't see these TDs, we had to make a decision. I had to make a decision that I could not expose myself to a certain point. So that being a micro decision that led to the macro, I decided I do not cross this line. I will fight with this Oni, but I will fight on my side of the hill. That being a decision allowed me to conserve my HP and not get shot by the TDs. So even though that we started losing our flank with the heavies, I mean, we lost because we didn't have the TD support. They had a Patriot that kept poking up and was able to get side shots onto 2 of our other tanks, and there was nothing there to punish him. One of our tanks tried to roll up and just got blown up. Okay, I mean, because there were 3 TDs, a J Panther, and some other stuff sitting back there. Okay, so because of that, we couldn't make an advance. Our teammate was unable to recognize what was happening and started to flame us. Okay, so that was what kind of made me realize that I didn't recognize that I was making this micro that led to macro decision. I just realized that, hey, there are more than likely TDs back here. And so in the process, I traded HP with a Conqueror after I killed the Oni. Conqueror was in a pretty good haul-down position, and I recognized that I'm not going to be able to hurt him. Okay, I shot 2 shots at him, bounced each one. He put 1 into me, I bounced another one of his. I was like, you know what, this isn't a good trade. And recognizing by being able to take a step back and go as my next macro decision is that I need to step back. Okay, I need to not fight this Conqueror because this Conqueror is in a superior position than I am. So because he's in a better position, I need to do one of 2 things. I need to either keep myself from not being able to be shot by him, in which case I now go fight something else, or I draw him out. But I can't do that reliably. That means the player has to become impatient. The opposing player must become impatient, which a lot of people will become impatient. But if he's in a good spot and there's me to shoot and Bob to shoot over here and Larry over here, he's not going to move to come get me if I decide to go move around a hill. Okay, and go, nope, I'm not fighting you, I can't hurt you. So that is oh, sorry, go ahead, Loki.
Are you in the training? Are you in like a map?
No, we're not in the map.
Okay.
We're just talking. And I'm just talking about this because this is going to be I don't think we're really going to go into a map and do a scenario unless you have an exact scenario that you want us to repeat, to play out. I mean, do you?
No, I was just wondering,
okay.
like, if you said here and here, I thought you were talking about something.
I'm just in theory.
Captain
I mean, we're
_
talking about the
switch channel to
generalness
family
of it.
friendly
We're
on the
talking
server.
about he is in a superior position. I am unable to attack his said position. So why? What do I do? I mean, how do you get him to move, or how do you kill him, or how do you deal with him? Now, that is technically what Artie's for, but you know how Artie is. You don't want it to shoot at you, it blows you up. I mean, you're a stupid target that shouldn't be shot at, they still blow you up. But the target that you need shot, just nowhere to be found. That was kind of the way it was with the Conqueror. So because of that, because I couldn't advance on one flank, one side of this hill because of the Conqueror, and I was able to fight the Oni, fought him off, and the Patriot was able to get shots on me. I did put a shot or 2 into him, but they recognized the numerical advantage. So that's what happened. We ended up getting enveloped. My other teammates got whittled down. I was pretty much the last man standing. I ended up taking out at least 1 more tank and damaging another, and that was about the extent of it. I got like a 2.5k damage game. Okay, cool, awesome. Didn't do too bad, but I wasn't really able to do anything because my micro game didn't lead to my macro being the end-all be-all. Because I made a choice in the fight to delay them as much as possible. I'm a heavy tank. Yes, I'm a T10. Yes, I can move. But I had no safe routes in which to move. If I moved, the Oni would have rolled up. If I would have killed the Oni and then tried to move, Patriot would have had me. Not to mention what other tanks were sitting on the other hill. I mean, those kinds of things. There were really no safe areas in which for me to move. So my option was to dig in and try to slow them down as much as possible. Deal as much damage as I could, and hope that my time spent taking them on would result in us being able to capture their base, which it actually did. Now, I'm not saying that I was the whole reason that we won this game. It was all me, pat myself on the back. But I am saying that even though that I made them stall 20 seconds to reload, okay, I blocked a shot because I angled properly. A micro decision. It allowed me to survive longer, and meant that that person had to reload, and meant that generally when someone tries to reload, they don't really want to leave their target. So, they did the right thing to us by just jumping over the hill and attacking us. Now, they should have done that much sooner, but they didn't recognize that there wasn't TDs behind us until later. Oh. As a macro decision, in the reverse scenario, it is okay for you to sacrifice your HP to be able to envelop an opponent. The problem is relying on your teammates to be able to follow up on that, which is why I suggest pinging, hitting attack, typing in, hey, I'm going to take this shot from this tank, follow me up. Because what happens when a tank's on reload? They panic. They don't know who to angle for. So, by making the decision of, I'm going to tank this shot, rather you are able to block it, or you take the damage, you are actually aiding your team by now applying so much pressure to this tank that it has, you're pincering it, you're enveloping it, and getting its sides. So this tank now either has to aim at you, the tank now has to aim at you, or it must turn and keep trying to stop the tanks that are now coming around the corner to attack it. Okay? In which case, you usually kill this tank. Now, there are some rare occasions that they are able to block most of the shots, in which case your guys are one-shots, and he just plink, 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 and everybody dies. Okay? That sucks, but it happens. In which case, you needed to have recognized that your team was too low of HP to be able to pull this maneuver. Okay, so if this happens to you in the reverse, one of the things that you should end up doing is always kill a target. Always kill a target. Try to make your shots remove gun of the equation, because if I have 1 HP or if I have 3,000 HP, my gun is just as effective. My gun will still deal damage. Now, a lot of people will think it's a waste because they want to get more damage. Why shoot a 75 HP target when you can hit this full HP tank over here and guarantee that you get 100% of your damage for whatever the roll is? A lot of players think that way. It's kind of why sometimes you'll just make it out alive and just be like, hey, why didn't anyone shoot me? I was totally one-shottable. It happens. I had a scenario the other day where I went basically 2v3 into a scenario. I jumped over a hill. We were on steps. I had a TD that was off to the distance. He put a shot or two into somebody. He got blown up. I jumped over the hill just as we lost our Super P. I ended up killing the E75 that killed him. They didn't realize what was going on. Their Revelise, their Ravioli, ended up not even recognizing what was going on because I jumped in behind him and in front of an Object 140, ended up killing the 140 and turned around to shoot the Ravioli, and I got flanked by a Bat Chat. Okay, not much that I could do there, but in the process, I blocked that Ravioli shot. If my reload would have went through before that Bat Chat killed me, I would have won that 3v2. All because I ran in there and shot the E75, so I was now immediately down to a 2v2. By making that split-second decision, I could have won that entire flank right then and there for us. Now, we ended up winning the match because we killed so many of their tanks there, but I could have actually survived and went on. I was full HP when I dove in, and I might have taken one shot, but I was high HP, able to get into the fight and disrupt them. Took out a gun immediately before they even realized what was going on. So these kinds of decisions are the correct decisions. Even though that I died because of a bat chat that I hadn't spotted or didn't think about, I still feel like I did the right choice there. So it's all about the the trading. Because I helped kill 3 tanks right there. Okay, we killed the E75, we killed the 140, and have already ended up taking out the Ravioli because he was that low. Fantastic. Because I was able to help take out 3 tanks for the price of 2, 3. I mean, we lost the flank. I mean, there were other deaths. But because I was able to do that, it helped even us up and prevent them from winning the game. Okay? I mean, we didn't win the flank, but they didn't just crush and take the flank.
Kang Rape joined the server.
Those kinds of things are what you need to start discerning and start understanding. So, I mean, look, yeah, I'm sure that you have. I mean, any of you guys have had one of those decisions where, if you would have done this,
joined your channel,
it would have resulted in something different. Hi, Can Grape. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good. All right. Well, welcome to our little training session. We're currently going over micro and macro decisions. So small things like simply as trading or angling versus going and like what flank you should be on, where do you need to position yourself and stuff like that, and kind of how micro can end up getting to macro. So, but yeah. So, do any of you guys have any of those scenarios where you did something and immediately recognized that if you would have shot this guy or jumped in at this point, it would have altered how the entire fight came out? No, just crickets.
I just played a T67
Okay.
and carried the game because nobody else was. I did 1,209 damage, 6 kills.
Fantastic. Good job, Oddball. Now, what was it that you think that got you to that point? What did you do to allow you to be able to carry the game?
Well, that was on Fjords. We were on the south spawn.
Okay.
And so I was hiding up there on the right side of the hill to shoot down the middle road. And then, let's see what I did. I got a couple of hits on people coming through the heavy alley pass, and then I got lit up. And so I hauled ass, as I usually do, or try to do.
Makes sense. You don't have much armor. I mean, you have the mobility. Just get away. Yep.
Right. So I went back towards the peninsula over there where the Arties go. There's a rock before you get there. I was using it as a meat shield, basically, and waiting for them to come through that little village along the water and picking them off one by one that way on either side of that rock.
Understood. Well, it sounds like you used your angles and your vectors and your corridors to be able to utilize the best of your tank, in which case you're a tank destroyer. Tank destroyers usually have the ability to be able to stay relatively well hidden while they open fire on an opponent. Halfway decent vision, especially the T65, or 67, I'm sorry. In which case you have the mobility and you're essentially a scout with a good gun. So you... I mean, it sounds like you played that tank really well. You baited your opponents into you. You kept at range, which is one of those micro decisions. Like, hey, I'm going to do this because, you know what? I mean, if I'm not seen, you abused your view range. Excuse me, which is fantastic. Awesome. Totally say do that all the time. And, I mean, sounds like you played it really well, Oddball, so congrats.
Got lucky.
You got lucky.
I'll tell you what, if they had those 6 tanks that I killed came through that gap over there at Heavy Alley, and they came through that town. Now, if they would have just pushed on me, I would not have survived because I wouldn't have been able to take them all out at the same time. Instead, they chose to send one at a time over at me and take me out or try to take me out that way.
And that quite often happens, which is perfectly okay.
That's
But-
fine with me. Because if they would have, like I said, if they would have pushed, they could overrun everything over there. There was just
I think my cat
one
just
other
got stuck.
street.
Give me a moment. I'm terribly sorry about that. Yes, he did get stuck. Anyways, but no, okay. But was it entirely luck, Oddball? Or did you actually make an experienced decision to say, I need to be here? I mean, because what would have happened had you not ran when you got spotted? I
Oh, I'd have been
mean,
dead.
if you didn't make that decision right there, what would have happened?
Well, yeah, I would have been dead because there was a Hetzer trying to hit me and a T1 Heavy trying to hit me at the same time. So I had to run. I didn't have any choice. And my thought was to get to the peninsula and use those couple of bushes there if I could get behind them enough and keep from getting spotted until I at least fired. But I'd have a better vantage point up on top of the peninsula, which could be a suicide run also. It's a 50-50 chance that you're going to survive up there. But then I didn't make it that far because one of their light tanks made it over there, which killed him first. But that made me use that rock as a meat shield, basically, before I got to the peninsula.
Okay, so, I mean, you recognize that you would have been cut off and exposed because you were lit, so you used a different point than you had thought about.
Right.
So, and those are macro and micro decisions. That is a micro decision that has led to a macro option. Okay, you recognize that you got spotted, therefore you can't cross this open field that you had planned. So you made a split-second micro choice to be able to say, I need to fight from this rock. It's not my ideal position, but I can do it. So you went and hid behind the rock. Killed their scout in the process. Awesome. Now you had a vantage point on the opponents, and they made the mistake of coming out one by one. Had they rushed you and enveloped you, you wouldn't have been able to stand a chance. No tank would have.
Right.
So you made the correct micro choice that led to a grand macro scenario. So you made the macro choice of, I need to get to a better position because these guys are going to advance on me. I need a better corridor that applies range to help out. And it was the micro choices that helped lead you that way. These are the small things that help all of us be able to get to a higher understanding of the game. Okay? I cannot sue a scout because it doesn't benefit anybody. Yes, can I potentially get all 15 people lit? Awesome. For 10 seconds. Who can follow up on that shot? It is not about your gun. It is not about their gun. It is the guns behind yours and the guns behind theirs. Just like in the scenario that I was saying, that I could not push onto that Oni without fear of TD fire. I can't see those TDs. I'm not able to do anything about them. So I am limited on where I can go. Same thing should be applied for scouts. Same thing should be applied as a TD. Okay? What can I do? I have no vision looking out. I can't see them in that bush because our light tank has died, or our light tank is not spotting what's here. Do I advance? Why should I advance? No, advance seems the wrong option. There could be a whole line of TDs over here. I can't see. Part of the reason why tank destroyers and heavy tanks work so well with one another. The tank destroyers utilize their decent frontal armor or their camouflage from the back and their very, very, very good high penetration or high alpha guns, and they support directly to the heavies. The heavies are going to be in proximity range. There's no way that these guys aren't going to spot something. Heavies can double as scouts. As crazy as that seems, they can drive forward. They're going to see an enemy. Therefore, backing them up is a great idea. Artillery gets buku shells off because of this. I have seen entire flanks fall to heavy tanks. Not because of... I've seen entire flanks fall to artillery because the heavy tank just sat there. I mean, you do not need to make a move. You can make your opponent make the move. It's all about having the patience and the discipline to being able to do so. By making the choice of, I cannot side scrape off this angle because there are too many angles in which I can get shot. That's a micro choice. That leads to a macro scenario. It leads to a macro choice. I need to be on this flank because I need to defend this flank. I have 5 tanks with me. My greatest weakness as a player is not recognizing that I should no longer be here. Because I'm a heavy player, right? You're a heavy player, you get to your point, you're there. I mean, you kind of have to commit to that side. Well, when do you leave? Why do you leave? What tells you that you should leave? I don't like leaving my allies. It's probably one of my greatest weaknesses. I want to sit there and fight these tanks, but they're going to flip off Bob, and I'm next on the plate. Okay, so what do I do? And I end up accidentally throwing away my tank. So Zul makes a good point when he says that your first golden rule and your first decision should be to stay alive for 5 minutes. So if you need a list or something that can help you with understanding your micro decisions that will lead to a macro, then you should sit here and think about yourself and radiate outwards. What do you need to do? And what do they need to do? So, I need to stay alive. I need to conserve my hit points. Okay, why do I need to conserve my hit points? Well, because I'm in one-shot range. Okay, that's a pretty good reason. I want to keep my gun live into the battle. I can't roll out. Oh, I have a lot of HP and my allies don't. Okay, now I'm looking at what my allies need. So, my allies need someone to take a shot. Well, guess what? I've got full HP. Cool, I'm rolling in. Come on, guys, we're going. Turn the corner, you take the shot, take 2 shots. Next thing you know, your 2 heavies are flanking around going, hey, buddy, you remember that you have a 12-second reload, right? And they just unload on these guys. You get into a brawl, you push your side, you might lose it. There might be an arty round that comes in, but at least you did something, right? You made the correct choice. Your allies may not have. So, it's think about it from your point of view. What do you need? What does the opponent need? What do your allies need? What do their allies need? So, those kinds of things are what you need to sit there and think about. It's, yes, should mediums go to one side of the map? Should heavies go in this area? That happens a lot. It's a meta of the game. You learn that through time, but there's generally decisions that go with that. Well, why do heavies go to where heavies go? Well, there's usually a lot of artillery cover, right? Or a decent amount of artillery cover. Because of that, because they are slow, they are sluggish, and they just already magnets, they go to these positions, okay? So, you need to... I mean, there are meta decisions that make sense for that. But sometimes, like, what is it? Tundra? The hill. Okay, the hill is really good to take, but it is not the end-all, be-all. Okay, you do not need the hill to win. Okay, it is just really nice to have the hill and not have to worry about that flank. And you see so many people committing to this hill, and they will think they have the speed of their tank to be able to rush up that hill, and the next thing you know, somebody gets that lucky track shot in, they're toast, and they just get firing squad. I mean, just totally wiped out, and there goes a medium or a light tank. It happens way too often. I see it all the time. Okay, and these are obviously examples of poor decision making. Okay, why did they need to rush that? What benefit does that give you? What benefit does that in turn give the team? So think about a scenario in which you have went, and I'm going to say it like this, but man, that guy's an idiot for doing that. Okay, I mean, opponent, ally, you see it all too often, right? So, I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, learn from that. Okay, you saw him drive out there, and he just gets flipped away. Okay, understand the reason why that happened. Not his thought process. That's not. Just read the scenario that happened there. He drove out. Was he spotted? Did he get spotted on his approach? How many TDs shot him? How many shots did you count? Even if they aren't spotted, you can still see the shells. So, if you're driving in a line and all of a sudden the dude 3 tanks in front of you just gets blown up, what blew him up? Should you now cross? Is it safe to cross? I mean, if he got 3 or 4 shotted, well, that's probably some big guns sitting over there, which means they have long reload times, which means you can risk it now, or, you know what, you can just kind of stay in the nearest piece of cover. The choice is yours. Both are equal. I mean, because if they have really long reload times, then you can probably get away with it and get across. So, yeah, think about those kinds of things. I mean, when you're playing the game, I strongly urge you to pay attention to your minimap, which I know is preached beyond preached, but not only pay attention to your minimap, kind of take a moment and think. What's going around with my allies? What are they doing? Okay? A lot of things that help me survive as a heavy tank is counting the enemy's reload time. Okay? So I was in a scenario today where I was one-shottable. I had a T10, an IS-6, and a SU all the way in the background. I had an ONE behind me. Or a OHO. One of the two. Anyways, a giant Japanese heavy tank. He rolls up, and I see 3 shots hit him. Okay? Well, that's 10 seconds at least before anything happens to me. So I was able to roll out real quick, pop my shot into that T10 and roll back. And I rinsed and repeated this 3 times. Next thing you know, T10 drops, IS-6 drops, and then the SU is running away. Okay? We were able to win the flank even though that we were outnumbered. Right? Because I counted the shots. I conserved my HP pool. So, there are risks that you want to take. Like trying to bait out shots. So by exposing your cupola, rolling back real quick, right? Trying to get that shot to fly across, right? Or bounce it. Or get your, what is the purpose of side scraping? The purpose of side scraping is being able to utilize your thicker side armor and sit at a angle to be able to peer around a corner. Okay, cool. That's a decision that you make as a micro thing that leads to you being able to hold a position really well. It leads to you being able to damage the opponent, okay? And you get into these one-on-ones or these one-on-twos where you're counting the enemy's reload time. These are decisions that on the small that allow you to be able to make grand decisions. Now, thinking about grand decisions, watching a lot of videos and stuff like that, from the beginning, you can start making these choices, right? So, why is it that some maps and sometimes one side will fall faster than the other? Okay, well, it's generally because there's more tanks there. Like, let's take Tundra again. I have been at that hill to fight the hill and just kind of get a little bit of damage, not trying to like sacrifice myself to the hill. And the next thing I know, there are literally 10 tanks rolling this hill, and there's only 5 of us. And a lot of times, hold on. Lancaster's Law. All right, please explain that, Zul. Okay, understood. When Zul does this, I'll read this off. So whenever he sends this information. But I mean, have any of you guys had one of those scenarios where all of a sudden, surprise, there's a whole bunch of tanks? What do you do? I mean, there's not really all that much you can do. Okay, I mean, you you didn't have the information to be able to ascertain the enemy's location, right? I mean, next thing you know, you're on a flank where you guys normally meet, where this area, this bubble that there's usually conflict in. And all of a sudden, you have way more than expected numbers of tanks, and there's nothing you can do. At that point, it's Lanchester's Law. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at this. All right, scroll up. Lanchester's laws are mathematical formulas for calculating the relevant strength of a predator/prey pair. Originally devised as analyses relative strength of military forces, they were deployed during World War I. Okay, cool. So this should 100% apply to us. I saw a discussion in the Watt Labs shot box that suggested that Lanchester's square law might model Watt battles somewhat. It shows how numerical superiority during an encounter can snowball and lead to victories. Very true. As an exercise, I'm going to do math and battles for after I've lost them from that snapshot in time, and seeing if it predicts the overall outcome of the battle and the number of survivors. My takeaway: try not to get in fair fights and unfair fights. Try hard on being the bigger team. Okay, so this is 100% true and fantastic. So thank you, Zul, for submitting. This is awesome. So Lemming Rush in one of his videos talked about if you see 3 medium tanks go down where the mediums go, and you see 2 medium tanks follow the heavies, and all of the heavies go to the heavies side, don't go where the mediums are supposed to go if you're a medium. Go with the heavies. And it's because of the same point. Because what's going to happen is, even though that your gun might make it to that flank, you are going to sacrifice your tank for their 6 mediums or 7 mediums that should have been there. And you are not going to be able to kill them or slow them down, right? You might kill 1 tank or 2 tanks to your 4, in which case they still have 4 or 5 tanks that are pushing that flank. Instead, push the other side extremely hard, and now you control half of the map when they control half of the map. So they put half the team on one side, you put a third, or 2/3, if not 3/4 of your team on one side. You should win that, theoretically. So you're able to push that side much faster, and your 3 tanks that are over here are slowing the enemy down enough that quite literally you envelop them. It pressures them to either fall off their flank or to push their flank harder, which means being more reckless. So I suggest, and one of the things that helped me out a bit, was do not move for 30 seconds after the battle starts. Survive for 5 minutes and do not move for 30 seconds. You will see all of the deployments that you need. Yes, you will not get to that really cool
Message
sniper
received.
spot that you want to get to. All right, well, have a good one, Zul. Thank you for streaming. Luckily, I'm recording this as well, so.
It was DOM.
Oh, that's DLM. I'm sorry. I saw it in chat and immediately thought it was you, Zul. I apologize. Well, DLM, have a good one, bud. Thank you for coming.
DLM48 disconnected
My
from your
bad.
channel MIT.
Okay. Anyways,
Training from the server.
but try to just wait 30 seconds. Okay, you will see how the map develops. And I mean, not to say go with the lemming train, but sometimes you need to. I mean, it sucks sometimes because they don't know what they're doing. In which case, you might need to lead them. I mean, you might need to wiggle your way up front and get into a better position, or wait for that proper reload and then get into a more aggressive position because you have more tanks here. You recognize that. You have 10 to their 5. Yeah, but if you go with them, get your gun into the battle. Absolutely. Do not lollygag behind them. You need to go out there and trade and shoot, help them. Okay? Because if your gun isn't firing, then you're not a tank. You're not a number. You are just there. You're roadblock. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. So it is a very decision to be able to help out your team by cheating with them. I mean, recognize what your tank's strengths are. Okay, I mean, if you're a mouse, right? Big, huge, super heavy tank, right? Don't be afraid to go out there and fight somebody. Get in their face. An IS-7. Get in their face. I mean, if necessary. I mean, if you have the option to do that and you have the numbers behind you, get in their face. Other people will too. I mean, they'll say, oh man, that IS-7's going out. Oh, hey, we might want to get a shot on these guys. Okay? Now, obviously, it's not always going to work that way. I mean, sometimes your teammates want to be very passive, have this really thought out and long drawn out game when it shouldn't be. You have the numbers, crush them now. Or you guys risk getting whittled down. And that happens quite often, right? Is your teammates will sit there and think that they can't advance when they can, and they just get whittled down. Because they take the shot and the opposing tank blocks their shot, okay? But he was able to return one into them. He is able to damage them. Next thing you know, you're losing your edge. You're losing your fighting power. You're losing your strength. Because now that T10 is a one-shot. So, help them. Help them by focusing fire. You see this dude shooting this guy and he gets tracked, right? Shoot at the tracked opponent. Shoot him. You're helping that player out by giving him XP for tracking them, and on top of it, you're taking out a tank. So, if you know that guy is being shot down, focus him. Also, in that scenario, the other tank will fall, and then you're flanked. Make your fall first, so you don't have to deal with them instead. And that's absolutely correct, right? I mean, you got two tanks sitting there, and one pops the corner and exposes his front drive sprocket. Don't shoot at the guy's side scrape, and guaranteed that shot. And not only does it help your stats, but it also helps your team win. I mean, because next thing you know, that dude is down 2 shots of HP, right? I mean, it's simple math. That's arithmetic. I mean, it's try to block their shots and trade with them, right? Make sure yours hit, and make sure theirs don't to the best of your ability. So, yeah. I mean, are there any? I know, Loki, that this isn't the this is exactly how you win every game 100%. There is no answer to that. I can never provide that. No one could ever provide that.
I don't know why not. Here we've been looking up to you all this time.
I know, Oddball. I'm such a failure. Well, I guess that's why I'm still at the potato. But no, what are some? Are there any questions? Anything at all? Grand, macro, micro things to choose from? How to deal with the tank that's here, or play some scenarios out for me, guys. Maybe I can help you.
Volunteer tanks, you need to support your team, but support in what way, I guess?
You can utilize range. Range cannot be understated. Now, since they implemented the 357, I know that a lot of people don't like that. But sit here and think of it this way. Let's say you are a tier 8 and you're up against tier 9s and 10s, okay? That means that there are 7 other tier 8 tanks which you should be able to reliably fight. You're the same tier. You're in that tier for a reason. Now, different tanks, different armors. If you're rolling up against a defender, it's going to be much harder to deal with than if you're rolling up against, let's say, an IS-3. Okay? So you do have to recognize the differences in their armor values, but tier 8 to tier 9, my T10 isn't any scarier than an IS-3 in terms of penetration. Yeah, I have a similar shaped nose, but my armor values aren't that much different. Okay, my gun scares you because it's a tier 10 gun and this thing is just gonna punch clean through you. Okay, but by being smarter about fighting these guys and letting the E100 or the mouse take this T10 shot, which the T10 should be firing on that mouse, right? He has heat. He can penetrate him, right? But he's got to get that right angle, right? He's got to get that right spot. Well, if the mouse plays it right, T10 shoots, and you're able to roll out from behind the T10, or the mouse, and shoot the T10. So, yeah, you're going to have to play a little bit more reserve. You're going to have to be much more delicate with your HP because so much stuff, it just cuts through you much easier. So, but you don't have to... you don't have to play all the way back. I mean, you just have to take a more supportive role. I mean, like, if I'm the IS-3, we're up against a T10 and an IS-7, and I have a mouse next to me, I'm just going to wait till the IS-7 and the T10 till they shoot. And then I'm going to roll out, and I'm going to shoot the T10, and I'm going to leave the IS-7 because I'm not going to be able to reliably penetrate the IS-7. Even if my mouse is shooting at that IS-7, unless I can get a guaranteed pin, I'm going to take for the more likely pin. And that's another thing that you need to think about. I mean, if your shot does nothing, then you did nothing for that 20 seconds of your reload time. So you need to think about that. How can I guarantee inflicting damage upon the enemy team? It's not about stats. A lot of people take it there. A lot of people go, well, I mean, he's just stat padding. He's just shooting at these targets. Okay. Sometimes there are exact scenarios that happens, okay, where they don't shoot the low HP tank when they freaking should, okay? That is a scenario of that. But in a scenario where you're an IS-3 with a mouse and they have an IS-7 with the T10, you shooting the T10 is not the bad choice. I mean, so long as you have a guaranteed shot, okay? I mean, don't just throw the shot away. Another thing that you can do that will help out your team is if you get shot by a tank, don't try to just immediately put the shot in. He's on reload. You already took the shot. He's not going to shoot you again. You just take your time and aim. Get that lower plate. Get that spot. Make sure that he didn't shoot you for free. But yeah, I mean, as in tier 8 going up, like Loki, you're starting with your 44 now. You're going to be in plenty of scenarios where you don't know what to do because you're over here and there is a Foch or a Waffle off in the distance and you're super scared of these things, right? I mean, how do you fight them? Well, remember what we talked about with the vision, right? You have that extra like 110 meters of range that really doesn't, that you can't get spotted at. Your maximum draw distance, right? Let another tank roll up, find a better position, and shoot from behind your allies. That's okay to do. And you're not a coward. You're not a wimp for not wanting to go out there and do that because it's a freaking Waffle. That thing's about to nail you, and you're going to lose 800 HP off this thing. I mean, it's a T-30. Don't shoot. Don't get shot by that thing. It's perfectly okay to sit back and recognize, I'm not rolling out there, screw that. So you play from the back. You just keep your gun in the fight, help your higher tiers. I mean if necessary, if super necessary, you can take your T-44 into with the heavies. You just have to be flanking them. You have to sit there and look at the map and go, okay, well, we're in buildings. Our tanks are here. Their tanks are here. Where can I sneak in and get the shot on a tank in the back? Because if you have a front line and they have a front line and they can't move and they're trading back and forth, I guarantee you shoot a tank in the back, he's going to notice you, but the others won't. So get that side and hit that low tier medium that's sitting behind their heavies, right? Shoot him, I mean, from an angle. You got to that flanking position. Shoot him first. His allies aren't going to notice, and all of a sudden you're in a hostile situation that could go horribly wrong in 2 seconds, but you're only fighting one at a time. Dissect the battle. And I've even had games where I've been able to sit next to the heavies on the other side of a building and just slowly whittled them down with my teammates. Get a last shot here. Damage this tank and make them turn around. If you can get a turn around and look at you, you make them flank themselves. It is the funniest thing because they turn to shoot at you, and then they expose everything to the tank that they were just fighting. So you can manipulate your opponents in that manner, right? I mean, and sometimes you have to have the willpower to go, no, I need to shoot this guy first, right? Okay, because I just got shot in the butt. I know where he's at. I recognize he's there, but if I turn, this guy's going to shoot me, right? So, I mean, those are very helpful scenarios. You can support your heavy tanks. I mean, seriously, start doing that with your T-44. I know it seems nuts. Until you start learning what the T-44 can do, you might actually find that you can help them out. Now, a lot of times people will look at you and go, hey, 44, what you doing, buddy? But you have to be able to recognize the reload time mechanic, right? You really need to pay attention to that when you're playing that, because, I mean, a T-30 shoots, how long is its reload time? An OHO shoots, how long is its reload time? A Type 4 shoots, how long is his reload time? Okay, I mean, you're not going to roll out there when a Type 4 and a T-30 are sitting there. They'll just immediately evaporate you. So you need to recognize and pay attention to the shots. Stay outside of sniper mode. Look up over your tanks with your camera and just kind of play it, okay? Your tank rolls out and gets that shot off. As soon as you see the shots return, roll up and shoot, okay? And then all of a sudden, I mean, yeah, you put an extra 200 damage into him. Well, guess what? That's 200 extra HP that he doesn't have, okay? Which means that your tank might get that lucky roll, high roll, and be able to destroy him next shot. Those kinds of things. I mean, it's small little bits of help, and you put yourself in a relatively high risk, but you can sit behind that mouse. You can just stay behind him. I mean, what's going to happen? Artie going to hit you? He's shooting the mouse, not you. I guarantee you that artillery's going for that mouse and not you. So, I mean, any other questions that anybody has? I mean, like, Cangrape, Daff, Loki, Oddball, anybody?
No, I think I'm good.
Understood.
I understand everything you're saying. That's a good thing.
Yeah, the only problem is trying to put it into practice.
Right.
Yeah, and it's start small, right? Start, like I said, start from yourself and work out. Radiate out. Try to keep it in a 1v1 scenario, right? And just sit there and think about, what could I have done better? Okay.
Captain
One thing I
underscore
really
obvious
wish that they put in
65
this game
disconnected
is
from
a
the
kill
server.
cam. And I don't mean like immediately when you die. I mean like when you go back through and you have an option to review the last 10 seconds of the person that killed you. Right? That way you can see everything through their eyes and be able to tell where they pinned you. I think it'd be invaluable, at least for me, to be able to see that. And like I have the mod that allows me to free camera whenever I'm playing or watching a replay, which has helped out tremendously because I can see what angle the shot came from. Those kinds of things. I can kind of see what my opponent has seen. But, I mean, dissect it. I mean, you rolled out and you got shot up, okay? It's frustrating. It hurts. But take a minute, take a deep breath, and recognize, well, I got shot by this, this, and this. And those three things killed me, okay? Why? And just question yourself, okay? And the next thing you know, you're going to roll up to this rock and be like, buddy, I went that way once. No, nope, not doing it, right? Like, what is, just to clarify for the sake of recording, the free cam only works when you are watching a replay. Yes, they are. Yep. Only works when you're watching a replay. Or else that'd be a little broken to be able to pull your camera around and look at it. It'd be like having a little recon drone. Which I think would be kind of a cool mechanic. Like, oh yeah, you'd totally get banned. Yes, you would. I think it'd be a cool mechanic in like a future tank, like Armored Warfare or something like that. Like putting in like theoretical tanks, like little drones that pop out of your tank and then fly around and be able to scout around and be able to see angles and stuff like that. And I think it'd be kind of cool. But I digress. But no, it's. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
There's a mod in There is a mod in solos, which after the battle you can look at. It's called battle hits. Okay, And essentially
Interesting.
what it shows you is you're going, how did he get me? And you're remembering where the shot was. Well, where did he hit me? And this thing shows you where you got hit. It also tells you where you hit other people. And it's good from the aspect, for me, it's good from the aspect of, well, I was aiming at this spot. Where did I really hit him? And then you get a kind of an idea. Well, okay, there's where some of the deviation comes. All right, I'm trying to track that sucker. Why am I shooting here? So I needed to adjust the next time I see that tank, that kind of position. This is where I need to be. I need to move. I need to shoot just a little bit further, right, left, up, down, whatever. It's just something to do.
Absolutely, and that's fantastic. I did not realize that mod was around.
Yeah.
I do have the hit marker mod on. I call it paintball because what it looks
Yeah.
like. And I thoroughly love the fact that there's paintball, right? Because it helps so much because I can pull my tank back, get safe, and look and be like, man, where the hell did he pin me at? Ah, man, I didn't angle my lower plate well enough, or.
Exactly.
I mean, those kinds of things, and I can be like, all right, so this is where you pinned me. All right, I have to watch this.
For folks, some of us elder people don't have the same reflexes that we once did have. This mod is more helpful to us. In other words, I can't do a whole lot of those things in a battle at the same time.
Right.
If you follow what I'm saying, Knight.
No, I know what you're saying, Dave.
Yeah, it's me. You know,
We're all getting old, man. That's all he's got to say.
no, some of us are getting older than others.
Play nice, Dave. But anyways, the I think that mods are quite helpful in the game, and I even use the weak point mod, the one that basically has it painted on the tank where the modules are and like quick weak points, and I think that helps. I think it's training wheels, but like I noticed once I started playing my tier 10, my object 430U, I was having a really difficult time pinning tanks because I just didn't know where to shoot them. Because now I was fighting more T10 or tier 10s more often, right? I mean. As a T10, I don't need to pay attention where I'm shooting unless it's a bigger tank than me, right? I mean, unless it's got way more armor, in which case, I mean, like a Glacius blade. Load in a heat shell, fire off Glacius round, alright, whatever. I really don't care. But now that I've started playing my Object 430U, I've noticed that I've kind of needed that mod. And, I mean, these things help. And they help you learn and make the choices. P-mod armor indicator is more useful. Okay, and that 100% is. I mean, being able to look at a tank and go, hey, here's what his armor value is and effective armor. Don't shoot here.
Yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, it's... I think we covered a lot tonight. I know that this wasn't the grandioso, like, I have the answer for everything kind of discussion that a few people would want, but it's just general knowledge. I mean, my recommendation to you is start with one thing and work your way up. Watch videos. Watch. I like Lemon Rush. Lemon Rush talks about his stuff. Now, he can be a little toxic sometimes, and that's not for everybody. But I mean, there are people in the clan like Dirty Ace. He's a great example of being able to help you out with understanding greater decision making. He's been helping me out. So just utilize the tools that are around you. I mean, stop and think. I mean, this is a slower paced game. This isn't Call of Duty or any shooter game or anything like that. I mean, you actually have to take the time. You don't just immediately get killed, right? I mean, you can in KV2s, but you recognize why that happened. I mean, if you constantly question the game, you will constantly learn more and you'll be able to implement more. So I wish you all the best of luck. And I mean, if there are any scenarios that you guys come across where, I mean, like one tip I learned today, and I'll leave you guys with this one, is as a medium tank, and you were stuck on a city map, you were going to have a very difficult time dealing with heavies, because you have to fight the heavies now in a scenario that is very heavy friendly. So something that I've been doing with my 430U is I've been trying to fight at a very close range, and I need to stop that. Watched a video, and Lemming Rush was talking about how you should be about 300 meters or 3 clicks away, so like 3 tiles on your map, away from the heavies. Okay, and you can side scrape effectively from that location. And that was part of the reason, part of the problem that I've been having, is that I haven't been able to side scrape all that well in my 430U. And I'm like, man, what the hell? I know that you can side scrape in this thing. So, and it made much more sense. The heavies guns are so inaccurate that anything past 300 meters is going to be a huge, huge difficulty to hit at the exact spot that they want. Okay, so you being at this extreme angle, this auto ricochet angle, is going to make it very difficult for them to hit your lower plate or hit a vital spot, your cupola, your commander's hatch. So utilize that, especially Loki with your 44. You can do this, and your 44-100. You can definitely do this with those tanks, because you can pull back and be able to see around the corner, side scrape off this, and your gun is very accurate. Theirs isn't. So they're either going to miss you or hit points of your armor that just doesn't matter, okay, because it's going to bounce or your track's going to absorb it. So fight from these distances, these 300 plus ranges. That way you can hold down an area. And he was in a city map, and he was in Inks, right? And the enemy team pushed their way up through the railroad tracks and out and around on the field side, and he just pulled back, and he was even side scraping off of a destructible building, and he bounced most of their shots because he was playing so far back, and the opponent couldn't really do anything, and he beat the crap out of this IS-7. I mean, he downright killed the IS-7, full HP, and he just whittled him down. And that was all that he needed to do.
Have you,
So-
have you found a mod that changes the colors on the mini map? You know what I mean, on the edges and on the lines?
Oh, you're talking about like the grids on the minimap?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've ever come across that. I've come across like your maximum view range, your spotting distance, and stuff like that, color changes. But I've never come across like ways to brighten the grid to help you out.
Yeah. You know, it would be so nice if, for example, if the numbers are even just white in the line, because people are saying things, and I have to sit
Right.
here and let's see. That's 1, 2. Yeah. Oh, there's F7.
Right.
I think that would all the way around. That would be kind of a helpful thing.
That would be. I know that you can change the transparency of your map.
Yeah. That doesn't change any of the coloring.
No, not really.
You really don't want to lose that whole corner either.
Right. Not be able to see anything at all. But, all right. Well, any other questions? I mean, I guess my question for you guys is exactly that. I mean, it's like, what else? I mean, what else can I teach you? Like, what do you guys want the next session to be about?
Everything.
Don't think I can provide that for you, buddy.
So it's like,
No, but here's a thought. How about the best people on our teams mentoring some of us in games, in pub matches, and try and do it, because training, I found a long time ago when MM was helping us and Baked, that getting into pub matches with a one-on-one training helped me 100%.
And I remember Five Line doing that for me as well, and I agree.
Yeah.
But my issue is I'm not on all the time, and I don't think like with Roman and like even Zul's very sporadic on what he can do. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not saying that the other officers and the other more experienced players wouldn't want to help, but I kind of feel like I'd be one of the only. And like Dirty Ace probably doesn't, and I know that we have another dude that we're bringing in that Sea Dog brought in, Waifu or someone, and he's doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's I mean. A lot of us have other things to do, but I mean, like other things that sometimes pop up a little quicker, like Zool taking care of his kids. I mean, like I know when Gunnar was here, his son needed more attention, so like sometimes he would have to stop. But I'm more than happy to help you out, Oddball. I know that you have a lot of experience, and I'd love to help you out. I really would. So if you want to have me start mentoring you, or see if Zool wants to help out, or someone, then I'm more than happy to.
Well, Zool helps me and Daffy out a lot, at least with one particular tank, being the E20, the cockroach. And that helps. And he tells us how he's not an expert, but he still knows. And so it helps us when we're lucky enough to platoon with him.
Right. And no, it's I mean, we all should be able to do that. Like, I can help out with heavies. I love heavies, right? So, yeah. But as Zool's saying, also submit your replays. Replays, guys. I mean, you toss those up in the replay plays channels, and I know Dirty Ace is on that thing, like, all the time. So, I strongly suggest tossing up replays. I mean, not even good ones. I mean, you don't have to be like, hey, look at the new mastery badge I got. You could be, oh, sweet, Maxim's on.
Maximin 1 was moved to your
Welcome,
channel,
Maxim.
MIT.
I got annihilated within 30 seconds off of spawn.
Well, yeah, not something like that, because, I mean, like, we can tell you, like, hey, this is what happened, but... yeah, we can wrap up the recording now, Zool. Thank you much, buddy. I mean, so,